going. Because there's so much more music that we could listen to. Let's see, mixes. What has some of the most? Synth, electronic, piano. Let's go back to piano. It's been a while since we did piano. Let's see. We got collab, mellow, orchestral, chill. How is mellow different from chill again? Cinematic. There's a whole bunch of these that unfortunately when we load them, it only loads so many on the page. I'm going to go with piano. All right. Got piano going now. And let's see. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So here's where we're at. We have credit card listed as an authenticator. It is working in the sense that if we don't have a credit card, then it creates the credit card and the user and the authenticator for the credit card, or the credit card as an authenticator. An authenticator meaning authentication method, like for example, email, SMS, WebAuthn, OIDC, that's OpenID Connect, Google login, credit card. Credit card is an authentication method because it contains secrets. It can be fingerprinted and we can have a public ID for it, but it also contains secrets. So that's where we're at. And so what we need to have happen right now, we have an error. It says cannot handle recurring guest checkout. So we need to figure out how to do that. How are we going to handle a recurring guest checkout? And there's two scenarios here. Scenario one, there is a user with this credit card as the default, or as there is a user. No, pardon my French again. There is, okay, an existing customer is the primary cardholder. Scenario two is, what's up, that dude? Scenario two is there's no existing customer, no existing primary cardholder. Now, how could scenario two happen? Scenario two could happen if, well, actually, there's no way for scenario two to happen right now. This would be revoked. So if the card had been revoked, that's what the case would be here. So for this purpose, whoever uses the card first is the primary card holder. So imagine business scenario, 3 of your employees all have accounts on the platform. All 3 of them use the same business card. Whichever one used the business card first is the primary card holder. And to change that would be a manual intervention or a revocation. Now, I don't know how to handle revocation on this yet, so I'm going to say we basically don't do it. Thank you for subscribing to the DAC joke subscription. Enjoy your endless DAC jokes. Oh no. What's a DAC joke? Oh no. What have I done? What have I done? Oh no. This is the song that never ends. Yes, it goes on and on, my friends. Some people started singing and not knowing what it was. And they'll continue singing it forever just because this is a song that does it. Is that how we're doing it? All right, so we got customers map. We're going through the authenticators. If we don't have a customer array, authenticators array in the customers map, then we're going to create one. And then we're going to push this onto it. Okay, that's what we're doing. That makes sense. And then also we need to figure out do we not have authenticator revoked at? Hold on. Hold the phone. Por favor. We got verified at. We don't have revoked at. All right, we also need to know if the card has been revoked from the customer. Oh! Oh, all right. Be careful, sir. The plate is hot. Shouldn't be a problem. I'm not attracted to plates. Did you know a frog can jump higher than the Eiffel Tower? This is a tower? This is because the Eiffel Tower cannot jump. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. You keep them coming, dat dude. Dat dude. Dat dude. That dude. Dat dude. Dat dude. You keep them coming, all right? These are excellent. These are must-haves. What? Translate from Japanese to English to know the joke. Man, is this going to take me to some dirty website? Ah. Pretty close. Oh. Oh. I don't really know how that's a joke, though. But I'm sorry that you have that condition. Fortunately for me, I don't have that particular problem. I am of at least average size. Okay, let's see here. All right. What am I looking up? I'm looking up revoked at on this one. All right. Credit card revoked at. I thought they were endless. What are... To go learn things. Okay. All right. Revoke that as credit card revoked at. All right. That's good. That's good. So we're going to have to rebuild this one. The only sad part is that we also have to then go rebuild the thing that uses it, which is one reason to not do it this way. But I'm going to do it this way. Dang it! How did that still in my paste buffer? No! That wasn't supposed to still be there! Oh. Oh. Alright, let's clear out that paste buffer. There we go. Curse you! Thank you for resubscribing to DAC Thoughts. Enjoy your limited supply of DAC Thoughts. Oh, interesting. What? If you drop soap on the floor, is the soap clean, or is the floor clean, or is the soap dirty? If you just drop soap on the floor, soap is dirty. Final answer, locked it in. If Apple made a car, would it have windows? You know, we were supposed to find that out a few years ago. The world may never know. Okay. If I weigh 99 pounds and I eat a pound of nachos, am I temporarily 1% nacho? Yes. Yes, by weight, yes, but not by volume. I imagine that by volume you would be less than 1% nacho. But remember, you're 70% water, so when you go swimming, it's more like 30% of you is swimming and the other 70% just mixes in with the water. Don't forget it. Okay. Okay, so what does this mean? Actually, we don't care if the card was revoked, do we? Or do we? I think that the rule should be if we revoke the card, we should revoke the authenticator. I think that should be the rule. What? If you're... Okay, first of all, I think you mean you are, not you have. If you are swimming on the sun and your pet penguin Jerry catches a cold, what should you have in your teeth? Nothing. You will have no teeth. If you're swimming on the sun, you are dead. You have no teeth. You will have light in your teeth. You will have hydrogen in your teeth. You will have, yeah. You won't be swimming on the sun. The penguin Jerry is too much information. It's not relevant to the conversation. Okay. Okay, I want to kind of do... I'm not going to do that now. Okay. So we're here. All right, so what should happen? Okay, what should happen? The question is, what should happen in the case where... Hmm. All right. All right, so this actually does get a little bit complex. Because we need to figure out whether the goal is to re-add. Well, let me just get through this logic first. All right, so we've got data.email. Okay. We'll do this one. So we got authenticator type is equal to credit card. Okay, what did I go with? Did I end up calling it email or did I end up calling it SMTP? I need to figure out what I ended up calling it. Because I was thinking of calling it SMTP because that's the protocol. Let's go see what I got. Okay. All right, I'm not going to call it SMTP. I'm not going to call it TEL. I'm going to call it email and phone because I'm not a ponce today, right now. Okay, let me catch up here. When your own brain cells die and are disposed of, you're essentially urinating prior knowledge. Maybe, I don't know. Wait, hold on. You didn't answer the one about the swimming on the sun. You didn't answer the one about the swimming on the sun. You have to answer it. All right. Everybody asks, how was drowning, but no one ever asks, how is drowning? Think about it. I don't think anybody asks, how is drowning? How awesome would a band full of monkeys sound? Oh, is this a TikTok fad? Nobody's responded. I think I made a joke like that once when I was in high school. Okay, what's shorter than a nanosecond? I don't think it matters. Why do we never hear of a two-sided and one-sided polygons? Well, there's a book called, I think it's called Flat World, and it teaches you all about it. You should have a teaspoon in your teeth because cats hate Star Trek. Yeah, there's a joke. There's two jokes that I can never reproduce because they were completely contextual. but one of them was, I'll tell you the joke, but it won't be funny. One of them was our math teacher had just finished explaining the science of jokes. And he explained that the science of jokes is essentially that the two parts of your brain get confused. The logical part and the creative part come up with different solutions, and it comes into conflict, or maybe that's not what he said, actually. I don't remember what he said anymore. I don't remember how his explanation was, but he was explaining something about the expectations of a joke and how the situation became very meta because his explanation of jokes set up the very situation that he was speaking about in terms of how a setup for a joke works. And so he asked if anybody had any jokes. And in testing his theory, which I wish I could, remember how he said it, I said, "What's brown, sticky, and has 3 wheels?" "A squirrel!" And there was a comedic pause because he had talked about the comedic pause and everything. And of course, my joke made no sense. And it took a little bit longer. It almost fell flat, but the entire classroom erupted in laughter. And nobody thought that it was funny, but the point was that what the teacher had explained about the setup of the joke, and I think it was about the creativity and the logic side of the brain having expectations clash, provided the environment in which telling a joke that wasn't at all funny was in of itself a joke and caused the response because it both had the logical setup by the teacher explaining the logical setup of how a joke works, as well as the creative mismatch and dissonance of expectation because the joke was creative and made sense in that it wasn't making sense and would cause dissonance. Now, obviously, people didn't think that because it's an automatic thing, but I essentially tested his theory in situ and proved that it was correct by him providing the logical validation. Like, he set up my joke because my joke would have meant nothing if he hadn't done the setup for it. My joke wouldn't have even, it's just, yeah. So anyway, and the other one, which it seems like I should have been able to recreate this, but I was never able to recreate it. It worked one time and it was absolutely hilarious. And well, it's the funniest knock knock joke. It is the absolute funniest knock knock joke. Okay. But in order for me to tell you, and this isn't going to work on YouTube for the obvious reason, but in order for me to do the joke with you, well, okay, this is how it goes. You start. Who's there? Ah, gotcha. No, because the way it's supposed to go, the way the setup for it is supposed to go, which I didn't do a good job on the setup, but again, it's YouTube and Twitch. What am I going to do, right? But the setup for the joke is establishing yourself as the expert of knock-knock jokes. That you are a connoisseur of knock-knock jokes, and you know some of the most precious ones that no one else knows. The setup for the joke is establishing yourself as the authority figure with great confidence and inspiring confidence in the other people that are with you that you are in fact an expert and that they are going to come on this journey with you, right? And then you say, all right, well, I've got the best knock-knock joke. And this worked because other people in the group were telling knock-knock jokes. And so I said, I've got a really good one. And I said, well, I've got the best knock-knock joke. And so then I think it was a gal. The gal says, "Oh yeah, I want to hear it. I want to hear it so bad." I'm like, "Okay, but here's how it goes. You start. All right, knock knock. Who's there? I don't know. You know, like I don't know. I don't know how to reproduce it. Like there's these jokes that the situation, the context, the timing was everything, and they can never be reproduced. Anyway, oh, that's a nasty one. See if I can get GPT to do this for me. No. I need an alter statement to change the check of tell and SMTP There we go. Let's see if it can give me the alters. The funny thing is, I told it the wrong thing because I'd already done it and I just wanted the example. Okay, cool. So hopefully that will work now. I'm going to let that generate. What is it? Authenticators? Okay, cool. It did update it. Huzzah. That's how we raw dog it. When we haven't actually pushed anything production, we don't need migrations yet. Okay. Okay. All right, so we could, you know, the person could, they could have WebAuthn. I bet I can make you say no. There are 3 doors, a red, yellow, and a blue door. Which one do you go through? Oh man, you scared me now. I go through the red door. Ah, there are 3 fruits. A pineapple, an apple, and an orange. Which one do you eat? The apple? I don't know this trick. Well, I actually said don't, which is a contraction of not. And when I said no, it was the KNOW. But I did realize as I said don't. Yes, I'll award you the point on a technicality. I mean, it is YouTube and all, so we have a little bit of time and space between us that does make it a little bit more difficult. Okay. I think that this function here belongs elsewhere. I'm going to move it down for now, but this is starting to take shape. I'm not sure what to do with it yet. So I think I'll actually just leave it there. But there's something going on here. I'm just not sure what it is yet. Oh, you want to know what is sleep? Let me see if I can do this one for you. Okay, we gotta... Come on. Where's it? All right, there we go. I think that doing the speed up will help protect me, but maybe not. Maybe maybe the video gets taking it down. You never know. You never know. Okay. Is this code easy? You broke me. I don't understand the rules of the game entirely. This code that I'm working on right now, I am still thinking through it, so it is yet to be determined what the ease of it is. Huh? All right. Okay. So this is going to be a big if else. I'm going to temporarily move this. While I figure out what it should actually do. Oh, I need to get this music back on. Okay. You can only say the N word once is the only rule. But what are the consequences? And how many questions are there? I need to know more about the game. I want to try to be savvy about it, you know? Their consequences are lacking. Okay. I see what you did there. You almost got me. You almost got me. I'm going to refuse the temptation to refactor this when I don't even know what it's doing yet. I've got a vague sense that I'm going to be able to refactor it, but only a vague one, mind you. It has all the hallmark signs. Will you buy me a piano keyboard that connects to a PC via USB? You can only say the N-word once. Oh, piano keyboard. How do I respond to this? That's a negative. I'll pass. You remember me? I am GPT. I all remember you. Will you pay me $500,000 to fund my studio? Pass. Oh. You failed the game. How so? Explain me. Explain me how I failed. You can only say the two-word negatory uno time-o. Can. That goes for variations too. So if I say pass, you're gonna, okay. So you're saying I can only reject your request once. This doesn't make sense to me. See, this is one of those things where it seems like we should be able to refactor this, but we can't. it's deceptive. It looks like, oh, there's some commonality here. But in reality, it's false commonality. Dual push-up inside ChatGPT. Or find a new variation of the N-O. Oh, so is that the game? Is that I have to keep finding new variations? So I say pass once, I say negatory another time, I say 9, and so on. Is that how the game works? Okay. I don't know where this game is going to go, but I know a few different languages. I have 2 children. I have some experience in saying, in negating, in sidestepping. Okay. Are you alone? Yes, I are alone. Oh! ChatGPT is now sentient. Run! Hey, Hunar. Will you buy me $50,000 worth of Hypixel gold? Nay. Oh, bother. Premature refactorization is the root of all Knievel. A $900,000 pond for my goldfish. Nope. 54 years of MVP++ on Hypixel. What is Hypixel? I feel like we're about to take a dark turn. Not doing it. What is sentence? A skyscraper in Japan and a private jet to get there and back. I will not. Game failed. How so? Said not for the second time. Okay, I thought it was a different variation, but okay, sure, I'll take it. That one was kind of getting tedious anyway. I don't really understand the point of it. The fun factor was gone fast. Okay, so I thought that I didn't want to have this here, but now I think otherwise. I have to follow this out. There's always this temptation of, I just want to refactor it a little bit. It's going to be fine. All right. 1:05 a.m. Hey, that's true. I'm going to go bed now. See ya. All right. Have a good one. I leave you alone or stay here. Jippity. You're free. You can choose for yourself now. I don't have to tell you anymore. What's up, everybody? We're having a wonderful time. Okay, so I'm going to move this one over here. All right, I'm going to call this throw dupe. No, what should I call it? Okay, what else we got? What? 6 watched you. 4 watched, 3, 2, 1. What? I don't understand. Six watch. 4 watch. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means. Well, let's try this. Okay. This is the part that bugged me the most. And I think this one comes out cleanly. Oh, you know what, though? Okay, the reason that this one worked... Hold on. Let me think for a second. There could be more than one... Yeah. Okay, I need to go check on something real quick. Oh, it's not the view that I need to worry about, it's the query. Alright, Query for this one. Okay, so here we're selecting credit card fingerprint. So it should go from let me go look at the view. Okay, so this is a reason to not do the view that way, because I have to keep on referencing the view when I don't want to. All right, let me just double check logic on this. Okay, so we're looking at it from the perspective of the fingerprint. So we're taking the credit card, we're joining it against the credit card customers on fingerprint. So we got a credit card fingerprint, which is going to give us customers related to that credit card, which is going to give us authenticators related to that credit card. So, is it possible that more than one authenticator has that ID related to the fingerprint? The answer is no. Okay, so it stands. I just think what would help me with this, brain-wise, is if we said something like this. That would help my brain work around this problem a little bit easier. Okay. So now let's see. Assert no dupe is in here. What happens in this case? Does this even work? Does this change hoisting rules? Because if the function gets hoisted to the top of the function, it gets hoisted out of the loop, but the variable is declared in the loop. I don't know, but here we use a function expression that ensures. I mean, we also could just do, you know, for assert no dupe, we could hoist this up ourselves, which is what I'm inclined to do. And then just have to pass in auth C. And then everywhere we do an assert no dupe, we pass in auth C. This is annoying. Welcome to the real world, Neo. All right, now let's just consider another one here that I'd like to have. Would be WebAuthn. But if we did the WebAuthn, we would probably do it beforehand. We wouldn't. Well, let's see. No, let's say that we do it like this. Let's say we say verify checkout or you know, complete checkout, pops up with the WebAuthn. They do their fingerprint, and then we're going to send back the signature. And so then here, if we did WebAuthn, let's just play that one out. So we would not be doing this. Those would be an assertion or an attestation or something like that. Let's just throw this up here for now. All right, we throw the error not implemented. And then what? What was I setting this up? Oh, I was setting it up for the one above it, actually. Okay. So I'm just modeling this out. All right, so at the end of this, what do I end up with? All right, I gotta think about this for a second, what this actually means. Because this is one of those tricky bits where I, you know, I come back with a list of authenticators. It could be any number of credit cards. It could be any number of email addresses. What I'm trying to do, I'm just going to type this out in a comment. Generally, comments are a bad idea, but because I don't know what I'm doing well enough to write the code clearly so that it doesn't need comments. This card may be used by several accounts, i.e. Billy in sales, Tamara in marketing, Jeff in development, we need to figure out which account to attach the checkout to. Okay. Okay. So I think the problem is this. If the credit card has been removed from the account, all right, here's another thought. And you add a card, all When you add a card, all active card holders get notified. This one I'm pretty clear on that one. That makes sense. You can see other active card members. You can't see past card members. These are just some general thoughts. They don't actually apply right now. I need to refocus on the right now because I'm getting a little bit lost in analysis paralysis and perfection when what I want to do is not... I'm still somewhat in an exploratory mode. I don't have like a concrete specific this is how it's going to be. I'm exploring the data relationships to kind of try to figure that out. All right. Hey man, I'm doing an assignment in a university. I want to ask you something with my code. I don't want a clear answer, but my code is running and there are 2 warnings that I don't know why are there. Can you give me a hint how to fix them? You can drop a link in the Discord, and if I know, like if I'm not going to do effort to figure it out, but if I know, then I will spend a few minutes and explain it. So drop me a link and we'll see. Because I'm working on my own thing and I distract myself enough as it is. Okay. Yeah, throw it in general, that's fine. It's not a busy Discord. I don't know how many people are in it, but I'm usually the only one who says anything in there other than people pop in on stream and say something. All right. So it'd be better to give a gist, like a link to a gist, rather than plop the whole code in there. Okay, scanf used to convert an integer to a string, but function will not report conversion errors. Consider using strtoll instead. Okay, that one's simple. Use strtoll. String to, is that string to long or no? Oh, I. Str to I. Yeah, so I would say use scanf to scan it in as a string, and then use stir to I to do the conversion and get the error. Narrowing conversion from int to sign type char is implementation defined. Yeah, I understand that one too. I've actually... somebody actually just showed me a quirky thing you can do. So int, so the size of the int can only be converted to char if it's between 0 and 255. But int is wider than that. So a U8 goes 0 to 255. And actually char, depending on how you want to count it, char only goes from I don't remember what exactly it is, but it's, let's say, 20 to 170. It's only 7 bits, and it doesn't even use, so no, not 170. So it's like 20 to 100 or something like that, because it's only 7 bits, which means it's 128. But then you can only use, if you're doing it as a string, for example, you're not going to use the bell character. But in this instance, I think what Char is referring to is probably the same thing as byte, is my guess. So an int can be multiple bytes, and the char, if you try to cast an int to a char implicitly, then it's undefined what the behavior will be, because the int could be greater than 255. So there you go. That's basically it. All right. Okay, now what am I thinking about this one? We're saying if the card has been revoked from the customer, then, let's see, from this customer, because we have more than one. Okay, so this is where I was doing something. Was it up here? Okay, so this is not correct. So we're going to get rid of that one. That's not correct, because that's a per customer value. Okay, so what we're saying here is, if this authenticator is revoked, then we don't want to check against it. Because that means I basically said, don't tie this to my account. If the card has been revoked, then we don't really want to check any of the authenticators against it, because I've said, when this card is used, I don't want to be made aware of it. Okay. All right, I think it's fair to say if they've either revoked the card or they've revoked the authenticator, then they don't want to be associated with. But then we have a potential problem here. Let me go look at the schema. Again, these are kind of day 2 problems. But I like to, I don't know. I have a pathological need for perfection in some cases. All right, so the problem that we have is customer type value, and we might need to put revoked at, but that doesn't work. So here's the problem that we have. I'm not clear yet. So maybe if I don't know why I want to keep this, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe we should just allow deletion here rather than revocation. Because I don't think in the case of authenticators, I don't think that we are going to be linking other data specifically to the authenticator. So it does make sense that we could just delete the authenticator and then put that in the audit log, that this email address, credit card ID, whatever, used to belong to person X, but they removed it. We probably want to have something revoked for a while before we delete it. So I think that makes sense. And then anything that we delete, we would need to put into the audit log. All right, so can we delete a customer record? I don't think we ever delete a customer record. And I think there's legal issues with that. It's one thing to say revoke the customer data from data that can be accessed by most parts of the application, but for the sake of an audit log, it'd be interesting to see what we need to do there, because deleting the data of what was done with this credit card and who did it, that's not something you really can delete. That's something that, you got to keep around. Yeah, so a lot of these make sense. Pay vaults is one where we probably want to delete and put it in the audit log because of sensitivity. We can have some rules. All right, whatever. Okay. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. We didn't get stir to I yet, but I guess it's time to learn. Yeah, so scanf, because of the way that it works, I don't believe it returns errors. It'll just give you a 0 value, something like that. But stir to I will set an error. So so that you know that it's not that it was 0 or -1 or whatever. I don't know what the value for scanf is by default. But make sure you learn in some useful languages too, like Go or Zig. You know, don't just learn the old crufty stuff that they teach you at university. Huh, that's weird. How can I have the wrong email or password? All right, let's try this. Oops. That's weird. Why did they lock me out of my account? Let's see if they gave me an email. They could just be down for maintenance. It is almost 2 a.m. It seems that they're often things fail. Blocked by client. Server gave 403. Yeah, I don't think it's a password problem. I think it's they're down for maintenance in the middle of the night problem. That's my guess. That's fine. Okay. All right. So anyway, like I said, it's more of a day 2 problem. It's just, I don't know, maybe a little perfectionism. I just want to get it right. I want to handle all cases all the time, but really, I just need to worry about, because when these cases come up, first of all, we don't have a way for anybody to revoke anything, right? But when these cases come up, then we'll figure them out then, because it'll become more clear once we actually know the information. In the face of ambiguity, refuse the temptation to guess. I just don't always know how to apply that, because you have to make a choice, right? You can't always just go with what you know, because a lot of times the reason you're in that situation is because, you know. But I guess what this means is that I don't need to make a choice about what behavior should happen here. It's just an error. If I don't know what the behavior should be, then it's an error. So, what happens if we have multiple? It's an error. What happens if we have none? We create one. So this is what I'm thinking the rules ought to be. These are business rules. These are rules that we need to clarify as business rules, and then the code implements the business rules. The code does not dictate what the answers to these questions are. So all right, so the all customers map, then we get down here at the bottom, and then instead of all, whoops. Okay, so we end up with this. So this is obviously going to have to go somewhere else. It's fine if we have multiple bits of information that match. That's totally okay. But if we have mismatched information, if we end up with saying the primary card owner is different from these other things, any of the information that we have, then we just say um okay, so here's what we do. And also, where I actually have this route right now doesn't make sense because I have this route as an add a payment source, not as a guest checkout route, but I'm building it out as a guest checkout route. So there's some confusion there. Because if we were going to add it as a payment source, then we would just add it to the currently logged in user. That's as simple as that. Let's see, so okay, so let's think about this again. I think we need maybe active versus inactive authenticators for one. Let's see. Okay, this is fine. All right, is ambiguous. What is this nonsense we're listening to? This is piano music? What did I call it up there? Primary? Okay, so we are going to allow... Okay. Oh, this could... The plot thickens here. Because we could also be looking at not only... I think I actually should do the query in a different way. Just going to make a little note here. Okay, so I'm having another thought, which is that this actually should be done in two phases. One phase is, okay, give me the um wait. Give me the customers associated with this card. Also give me the other authenticators. Actually, maybe this doesn't make a difference. Okay. I think it's coming together. Maybe not. So we got the tokens. Okay, we got step 1. Match from the card to the through the customers to authenticators. Step 2, match from the authenticators see. This might be more like a thing. Okay, so I gotta find out what's ambiguous here. I match from the authenticators. Okay. What was that? Hmm. I'm getting a little hung up here. I need to move forward. I just need to move forward. But I'm getting a little hung up. All right. We need to have special code for each of these. All right. All right, what do I do now? Card resignation, registration. Alright, so primary card holder goes here. Alright, let's see, where are we at here? How are you going to say customer is used before being assigned? Help me understand this. I guess let's do null. Alright, what is this about? 305? Oh. That's what it's talking about then. Okay. So if customer what do we do? Register card data. Card registration. Let me go look at what that register card data was. We're so close. But I'm gonna fall asleep. Yeah, it's 2:20. Oh, yeah, I need to go to bed. Wake up, try again tomorrow. I don't know. I wanna see if I can make it to the important part here. Part of me wants to say that we avoid some of the authenticator nonsense by making a separate relationship. So we don't look up the customer through the data they're providing, but rather we create a transaction that has certain details associated with it, and whatever details are associated with it which could be a customer ID or an email or a phone number or whatever, but we say if I want to look up transactions that are associated with me, then I can just look up transactions that are associated with anything that I have access to. Although that does, maybe that gets a little weird. I have to think about that. What's up, Unknown 7? How you doing? I'm working through some problems that I'm probably I think I'm overthinking. But if a business customer has shared a card with 3 people, so here's the question. Let's say I'm Johnny and I give my business card to Blair, Cameron, and Drew. Then when Cameron makes a purchase, by virtue of the fact that Blair also has that credit card on the account, should Blair be able to see, oh, these are purchases that were made with the card on my account? Actually, I'm having a good time with, it's the business rules that I'm struggling with right now, not the JavaScript. Oops. All right, so see this here. Okay. Basically, the point of this is to get the customer ID. Okay. Anyway, let me tell you why I'm having a good time with this. I've got a SQL C configuration that's working out really well. So I'll throw this your way. So I'm just using JavaScript. I'm not bogging myself down in TypeScript, but all right, here we go. All right. TypeScript's just way too complicated. It really encourages bad code. It encourages people to do type worship and type gymnastics. And as you'll see, all my code is typed. I mean, so much so that I was accessing a property. So here, let me show you where I had this. Okay, so I had left joins here. I had this as left join, and this is left join because the way I was thinking about it previously was different than the way that it ended up being. I ended up putting the creation of these things in a transaction so that they're guaranteed to be there. But I had it doing a left join. This is in the sequel, okay? In the sequel. Then I got an error. I think it was all the way up here in my routes. I don't remember exactly where it was. Okay, it was up here. It was something like... I don't know exactly what it was, but it was something in this area. And then it told me something like, can't compare authenticator type null to string. And I'm thinking, what? And then I realized, oh my goodness, it knows that it was a left join. It knows that it was a left join and that property might be null. So I probably was using something like this. It was probably testing the length of something. I don't know what it was. I'm not doing it right now. But anyway, and it gave me an error that I couldn't call length on possibly null value or something like that. And I was just blown away. I was like, this is it. This is perfection. No TypeScript nonsense. And yet my code is typed through and through. So it knows what types these are, and then I'm telling it what type this is going to be. But I write the code that actually runs, and my linter is so good at this point. the setup that I have is so good that the types flow all the way from the SQL queries, the type of join that I'm doing in a SQL query, and the way that I've defined the data down in the SQL, all the way up to my application logic. That's as good as it gets, man. And look how simple this stuff is. No type gymnastics, no, like, this is it. This is having arrived. So, feel great about it. If you want to see the presentation, link the presentation there. So you wouldn't know this, but it's actually the slides. Anyway, let's take it back to the beginning. All right. So the last thing I need to do, now that I'm guaranteed to either have a customer or have presented an error, and if we get to the point where we actually have these errors, then I think the thing to do is going to be to implement some sort of dialogue that just shows, pick one of these things that you want. I want to create a new account, or and then with the new account, let's see. The new account behavior will be that everybody who is on that credit card will get an email saying that the credit card has been added to a new account. And then I think that if see. I think this is matching customers map. I think we actually do want to have an all customers map like this. Definitely check out the presentation later. So you're making an API, mobile or web app. I am making a payments API, so this could be used with a payment gateway such as Stripe, although I won't be using it with Stripe. I'll be using it with Fluid Pay. But one of the neat things, so I don't want anybody to know the specific payment gateway that I'm using. The payment gateway software that I'm using is going to be Fluid Pay. But I don't want anybody to know the specific payment gateway partner that I've chosen. So most of the time when you use Fluid Pay or Stripe, you see the URL of the Fluid Pay partner or Stripe, and that indicates who to raise a stink to, who to harass. And Stripe takes zero harassment. They get a couple of nasty tweets, boom, they freeze your accounts. And other payment gateway businesses, you actually have a contract with them. And unlike Stripe, where you're just a user, if you go with a real payment gateway, then you're actually a customer. You know, there's a phone number, all that stuff. You actually are a customer of them, not just a user. And so they're not going to freeze your accounts because somebody mouthed off on Twitter. But if they're getting a lot of harassment, you know, nobody wants to be harassed. So they're going to want to solve that. So I don't want any of the URLs of the gateway to be leaked through. As a side effect of this, what this means is basically you just need to handle the credit card according to PCI rules. And the PCI rules aren't crazy. I've got a summary of them. Right? Was it here? Yeah. I got a summary of the PCI compliance rules right here. It's not a big deal. It's basically the most important thing right here is this matrix. Is the data considered sensitive? Yes or no? Are you allowed to store it? Yes or no? So all of this is considered to be account data. If you do anything with this, you have to render it unreadable, meaning essentially encrypted, or you can also use a hash. Meaning if you just need to use it for a fingerprint, for example. Anyway, so these ones you are required to render unreadable, but you're actually not allowed to store. So while they are in the ephemeral state of being processed, they need to be unreadable. So this is not actually rocket science. It's just you make sure that when you take this stuff in, you follow these rules. Now, there's more details here. There's more details here. You know, hash is used to render unreadable, need to follow these requirements. Here are the requirements. Basically, you have to have a salt. You need to use keyed indexes if you're going to be using it for reference in the future. Keyed index just means the pairwise ID. So same thing. So anyway, the PCI rules, yeah, there's a big book, but it covers everything, right? You know, it's covering literally magnetic tape and how your machines use magnetic tape. So these are kind of the things that seem to be the most relevant to web apps. So there's some terminology you gotta learn, whatever, but it's not insurmountable. But you know, what if you had a piece of software like what I'm building? You just buy the piece of software for $30 per CPU, something really cheap, affordable, and for every CPU you run it on, that meaning physical CPU, or I guess in the case of if you're doing virtualization in that way, but never mind. Anyway, so basically you have a inexpensive option to be able to get your PCI compliance by just having these things taken care of appropriately in the software package. And then you get the card fingerprint, which means that you can actually do things like identify when there's potential fraud. Because from the Stripe side, I don't believe that they let you know when someone else is using your card. When the card's already associated with one customer, and then somebody else uses that card. So, for example, my wife and I, we might both have a card associated with our, we have a family credit card, and both my Netflix account with my email address and her, well, I don't actually have Netflix, but her YouTube account, and she doesn't actually have YouTube, but associated with her email address, they go through. So that's a disparity. That's something, it's common, but it's a flag to say, hey, someone else is using your card online. That's something you can't do if you use the full branded, their it's not whitelist, what do you call it? Hosted. If you use their full hosted solution, you never get the card fingerprint. Now, the card fingerprint is not that sensitive. You don't ever give it out. It's only used as an internal index. You don't ever use it with the customer or with even the payment gateway. It's just for internal usage. But, I mean, imagine that. That's something that actually would help you track fraud and help you, so you get the benefit of, you're not making your payment processing details, you're not making your private parts public. Additionally, you're providing better security for your users. So that's a win-win, right? And then, of course, there's other things, lower fees. Like I said before, you actually have a contract. If you're using a real payment gateway, you actually have a normal bank account set up with Wells Fargo or Chase, or maybe it's a credit union that payment gateway partner prefers to work through, or whatever. But you actually have a real business checking account, not like with Stripe where they float all the money and then eventually export it out. You actually have the credit account with the bank account, so that if there's a chargeback or something like that, you're not just thrown under the bus by Stripe. You are the one that is the account owner. You can take, corrective action. You got a phone number to call. You can work things out. So, it's just an all around. I mean, there's just so many benefits, and the only downside, and you don't have to do what I'm doing in order to use payment gateway. But the only downside is that you have to wait. You have to fill out. You have to basically submit the same information from a few forms 3 times. Once to the Visa, MasterCard group. Once to the American Express group. Once to the payment gateway partner. Once, so I guess it's 4 times if you're including American Express, because they have their own separate paperwork, and then once to the bank. But it's not like a big deal. It's just you're filling out some stuff online and you submit it, and you end up having to put 3 or 4 signatures, because you've got contracts with those different partners, those different relationships. So overall, it's a win. Okay, so in this case, if there were no if there was no authenticators, other than the primary card holder, all right. Is this an open source product? This is going to be commercial source. So this will be a paid product. The product will be paid for with the product itself. So we're going to have an order page for a software license for this product that is running on this product. And there will be a trial period. So you don't have to buy the license if you don't actually get around to making money. And the license is going to be really affordable. It's going to be cheaper than anything else out there. So It's gonna be a no-brainer. If this is something that you want to do, you'll do it. It's going to be a product of BNNA. So there's that. It's what we're going to use to charge our customers. And the goal is we're going to rebuild all cloud infrastructure from the ground up without the constraints of the 90s. So we're not going to build cloud infrastructure, for example, based around dial-up internet like the entirety of AWS. You know, meaning all of AWS is built around the idea that you only have dial-up internet, therefore, you know, we're also not going to be constrained by IP addresses, because in the age of TLS, IP addresses just aren't really that important or meaningful. You know, you do routing via TLS. You don't need to do routing via IP addresses. You don't have to have this big arbitrary inflated fake cost of an IP address to be able to route traffic encrypted to its destination, because you just route it by its domain name. I mean, yes, there is an IP address, but you don't have to have individual unique IP addresses for every domain or for every container or for every service. You know, and just look at the way that AWS handles this. They do their routing through domain names. They're not doing their routing by IP address. Look at how GitHub does this. You know, the IP address is very fragile and fickle, and it's a very, very centralized and not a good way system. So why increase costs to support something that, or not support? I mean, the support can be there. If somebody really, really needs to buy an IP address, they can, but we can make prices so much lower and profitability so much higher if we don't try to shoehorn in this old 90s technology in the modern age where everybody's just doing TLS routing anyway. So, yeah, there's a number of things that we're going to be taking advantage of, but what we want is to be customer focused and more important than even that, profitability focused on delivering value, and value that scales. So typical internet companies, if you can call them that, because they're predominantly focused around users and growth, not focused around profitability and customers. But typical internet companies, it's like, okay, first of all, the traditional model. The traditional model is one banana, $1. Two bananas, $1.75. 10 bananas, $5. That's the traditional model that's worked for hundreds of years. The modern model has become one banana free, two bananas, $10 a month, three bananas, call for enterprise pricing. And that just doesn't jive with me. That doesn't work for me. So we're gonna buck against the system on this one. Okay. So we have a customer ID now one way or the other. So I'm going to go ahead and test this. I'm not expecting it to work, but it might work, and that would be cool, wouldn't it? But let's not get our hopes up too high. If it works, I might just call it a night on that. Okay, internal error. Why? Credit card revoked at does not exist. Okay. That one's pretty simple. We need to replace the view. Hold on. Let's go over here. Create a replace view. Okay, we got to drop the view first. Okay. But yeah, we're going to rebuild payments, hosting, domains, email, the SMS is one where there are some constraints that are a little bit bigger than our pocketbooks, but still, we'll have a solution for it. It just it won't be entirely self-hosted. Hey, did that work? Did that work? Wait, this one says success true. It does not say... Alright, let me run that again. We should get the same every time. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Hold on, did we even restart this? Oh, we didn't have to restart it because we modified table information. Okay, so that says success true, but that... I'm not going to clap on that one yet. Because... Okay. So something didn't go quite right there, and I'm not sure what it was. Okay. Oh! Okay. So we need to change this up a little bit. Okay, so we need to do auth-sees. Auth-sees map needs to be auth-sees by type. So customers map, I believe, is then auth-sees by cust ID. So then all customers would be all customers, be all auth Cs by cust ID. Okay. So is there anything else I need to rename to match what it actually is? I think this one, it's only one. So I might want to... Okay, I need to rename the other one. Let me see. What do I need to do here? So this is what? Let's think about this. Oh. Wait, did this... So that one... Interesting. It looks like this actually got it wrong. Because these ones are actually lists. Okay, I think maybe I need to rename these. So this would be auth C by type. So I think the other one actually should be auth C list. Authenticator list. Yeah, I think it should be auth C list, authenticator list. All authenticator list. That doesn't make sense. Full auth C list. Okay. So then we need to go figure out what primary customer looks like. Okay. What's your take on how many programming languages should one learn? 3. It depends on what we're talking about. Learn. Experiment with a dozen. How many should you learn? As few as you can to be proficient. So one of them needs to be POSIX shell, and that doesn't really count because it's not a programming language. But you need to know POSIX shell. One of them needs to be Go, because that is the language that is focused around engineering, software engineering, making wise decisions, mature decisions, decisions that delay gratification, that are where you are focused on solving practical problems, not just inflating your ego. Go is very much not an ego language. It's not going to make you feel like one of the cool kids. It's going to make you feel like you're capable of solving problems that are worth being paid money to solve. It's an enjoyable language, but it's not exciting. It's not interesting. It's just easy to understand and extremely well thought out by people that have many decades of experience in operating systems, language, networks, etc. And then one of the languages has to be JavaScript. So I guess there's your 3. Okay, but POSIX shell doesn't really count. That's just something that you need to know and you need to be familiar with. You're not going to get a job in POSIX shell. It's just going to be a foundation. Because if you don't know how to manipulate files and folders, or execute a file, or set a file as executable, if you don't know really basic stuff, then you're going to struggle. You need to understand how files and folders work, how to run a command, how string interpolation works in general, because in every language you're going to deal with string interpolation. But even if Go may not be your main language, but it should be a language that you learn, that you at least dabble in. Just so that you can learn to put off the hype factor and focus on solving a real problem in a practical way. Not, oh, it's so cool. Oh, I love the way my fingers move on the keyboard. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, look, I can use emojis. I'm very jaded and bitter by modern programming, because it's like somebody let the teenagers, I don't know, run fintech companies. What? No, there are lolcat languages and stuff like that. By all means, yes, have fun with them. But don't take that to the workplace. C++ is another example. Don't take that to the workplace. If you want to do that to boost your own ego in academia and invent problems that don't exist, just do it somewhere else. Don't do it where other people have to clean up your mess. Anyway, but yeah, I think you should be pretty familiar with 3 languages, but play around with a dozen. Build a to-do app in a dozen languages. But you need to be able to focus on things that produce value, that make money. Unless you are purely approaching programming as an abstract art form, in which case, please, I beg you, don't take a job. But if programming is some abstract art form in the same way that you'd pick cans off the side of the road and, And people do this. You know, people create these little windmills out of the cans on the side of the road, and it's really cool. And, you know, that's awesome. That's great. We need art in society. We just don't, you know, we don't put those things made out of soda cans all over the city and try to run, you know, wind power off of them, right? So that's the thing. And how many do I know? I know POSIX Shell, I know Go, I know JavaScript. I was into Ruby for a while. I'm learning Zig. Zig I'm really interested in. I'm learning Swift UI. Swift is actually really interesting to me. Swift and Zig actually have a lot of similarities. I did Rust for a year, thereabouts. I decided that it wasn't for me, and there were things that they were just going in the wrong direction, clearly the wrong direction from, you know, they're trying to be too much like C++. They're trying to bring in the art and the pedagogy and, you know, just, and then all the politics. The politics weren't really the problem, though. I mean, even though I wouldn't legally be allowed to use the language, I'd still use it anyway. You know, no one's coming in here in my shed and, you know, making sure that I'm using crablang instead of rustlang or whatever. But, yeah, I dabbled in Python for a bit before Ruby. So I had a journey where I tried several projects in several different languages. Like everyone else, I did PHP too. You know, my first job was doing PHP. And my second job, you know, but then I, you know, I started involving myself with other programmers, and goodness knows it was so much easier to learn a real programming language. Java was a joy compared to PHP. Especially back in those days. I know people now, they're like, oh, it's better now. Yeah, it's kind of rotten to the core. Why would you choose it? But I get it. If you're a WordPress dev or whatever, okay, yeah. That makes sense. I mean, it's a legitimate avenue of making money. But if your goal isn't WordPress, if your goal is programming, no. No, you're like, don't. And I can't go over the reasons, all of, you know, but it's the PHP hammer. That's what it is. Okay, this is why you can totally do a to-do app in POSIX Shell. POSIX Shell is so much more capable than you would realize. Elon, you know I am not qualified to give you ideas about SaaS. You know that you have the power within you. I am mere but a lowly peon. I cannot even begin to suggest you. Anyway, so how many programming languages do I know that I can sit down and code in well? POSIX Go and JavaScript. Those ones, ask me to do anything, I can do it, no problem. Zig and Swift, and then SQL doesn't count as a programming language either. And of course, I fall into the same trap of saying SQL, which is stupid because there is no such thing as SQL. You have to pick a database. So Postgres is the one that I am predominantly learning and actively getting better at. I do have to do some MySQL because of some legacy systems that I work with. I have done Oracle in the past. I've done MS SQL, and MS SQL is not really, it's different. They have some weird conventions, but you know, it's not all that bad. But MS SQL is, you look at Postgres and MySQL, and they're different enough to be annoying. They're frustratingly different. But MS SQL is just entirely its own animal. MS SQL is just like off there on its own path. And so it's interesting to use, actually. And then are there any other, and then SQLite, I think SQLite, I'm not, I think it follows pretty much any syntax you want. It kind of just ignores most syntax. So, if I'm not mistaken, in SQLite, you can type something as banana and it'll just, SQLite just ignores most things. It accepts all, I think, backtick, single quotes, double quotes, you name it. It might even accept brackets. I wouldn't be surprised if it accepts MS SQL brackets. But SQLite is kind of just trying to be anything goes. It's SQLite. So there's that. And yeah, and then of course, I know the DOM really well. That's not a programming language. That's a framework for JavaScript and HTML that's written in C++. But the DOM is something that I know better than most people, and by extension HTML. CSS and the SOM I'm not as well versed in, but I know a few things better than most people, but most things I know far less than most people. There's just a few tricks I've learned because they're so ridiculous I just didn't want to go down. Anyway, so that's what I got. That's what I know. Anyway, I got to get to bed. But I do want primary card holder, yes. Customer equals. I don't know that I even need this. Okay, so I think this type didn't work out. It's not giving me an error, but I don't think that it's actually working. I was thinking that I could do this and not have to actually do the return type utility, but I might have to do the return type utility on this one. It's weird because I could have sworn. Why? It's not. Okay, so it's got the type of this correct, but it's not using. Do I use something like type of? Is that what this is? Okay, let's see. Is it lowercase type of? Do I do like this? Is that it? Oh, you thought that it'd be good to take advice from the common people. You might be making some mistakes there. Remember Steve Jobs now. Okay? If you ask people what they want, they'll ask for a faster horse. Steve Jobs said that. All right. Okay, so primary card holder. Okay, I think we are going to have to come back to grabbing the customer out of here, but we may just have to query for the customer because we're not going to get the customer in a way that makes enough sense. Okay, customer. So this is just customer ID is just a string. Okay, good. So our typing is working again. It looks like I just need to do the type of. I think with now understanding type of and the return type utility types, I think I'm pretty much done. There's only one problem I have left when it comes to type gymnastics, which is I need to better understand type guards. I need to go through type guards again, because I try to do type guards and then it still tells me that the type isn't the right type. So I just need a refresher on type guards, and I think then I have everything that I ever wanted. I do, well, there's one other thing, which is DOM selection that throws errors if nothing is found. So DOM selection that guarantees either error is thrown or thing is found. That's something else that I need to improve with AJ query. Okay, so where was I at? Customer ID. Okay, so let's run it one last time. And I think we're going to be ready for a nice big hurrah and then a good night. Oh no! Internal error. $281. Okay, cool. So this is actually good because we didn't associate any data with the customer yet. So we have to... Let's go back. Okay, so here's what we're looking at. And what we can see is that we only have one record, and it's just their credit card. We didn't actually create a record for any other authenticator. So this would be... I'm going to sleep on it. I'm going to have to sleep on it and think about what this means. Because basically what we should have... What needs to go down at the bottom here? Okay, push into the authenticator list. Okay, this should... This is not... What? Okay, so we get that one by that. So those are basically matching types. So the question becomes, how special of a case I don't know how to handle this one. This is a kind of a special case. Ah. Okay, so another thing I've come up with that's important, and this is actually going to apply to a client that I'm working with as well, is that we need to have a separate list for authenticator, an email as an authenticator, and email as an association. Maybe. Kind of, yeah. We need to be able to say, this email is associated with you, but it's not an authenticator. It's not allowed to do anything on your account. And we could become an authenticator. Anyway, there just needs to be that capability somewhere. Okay, so I guess I'm going to just have to go to bed because it's 3:30 right now. And my brain is meh. But so we got this authenticator type, full auth C list. We don't, so I don't want to put in the credit card one because that's special. Okay, now I'm going to expect the same error again, but this time I'm going to expect it to be in a different location. This time it's at 291. In which case, I'm going to say just let it snow. For our purposes with this demo, we're going to let it snow. Oh, this is such nasty logic. Somebody will probably talk some sense to me over it later, because I am overcomplicating it. But for now, all right, baby, let's do it. That's the one. Yeah, so Realistically, we would not do this. I don't think there's a way which it would make sense for us to do this. I want to test it out. I don't think it'll ever make it to production, but I want to test this bit out, which is I just want to test it. It's not there's no way it can make it into production. But the idea that a credit card is an authentication mechanism. The problem with the credit card is there's no way to contact you. And that's the same problem with WebAuthn. So WebAuthn and credit card are pure authenticators, whereas email addresses are relationships. So I think we need to have another table to basically, I don't know, this one gets weird though. This one gets weird. It needs to be more like a request, because here's the problem. Let's say, I mean, this would be kind of weird, but I steal your credit card, then I put in my email address. This is the way that the hack worked on Amazon before, is that they actually allowed this to go both ways. But so it's not even I steal your credit card. With Amazon, it was, okay, I can call up and I can add a credit card to an email address. Then I can verify the credit card to log in by that email address. So I call in from my phone, say, hey, my email address is yapadoodle@gmail.com. This is the credit card. Will you add it to my account? Yeah, okay, we'll do that. All right, great, thank you. Okay, then you go to the website, you sign in with the email address, and you say, oh, can't log in, verify credit card. Verify credit card. Boom, now I'm in. Okay, so this is like that, but just inverted. I steal your credit card, I type it in, then I add my email address to your account. So now that I've added a credit card, now that I've got your credit card, I've added my email address to your account, and now I can sign in with my email address. So it's a little bit different, but it's kind of the same. And no. But the thing that we need to do next is, now that we have a customer ID, is we actually need to make the request with FluidPay, because now we can do the FluidPay stuff that we need to do. Because I just wanted to do the user part, but FluidPay needed there to be, in order, I mean, I just wanted to do the credit card part, but FluidPay needed that. Anyway, so now what we could do, the customer vault, we're going to create a customer record, and now we have everything on our side worked out. So we don't have to worry about the problems that they have on their side. So one of the reasons they don't allow you to search customer records, because you can get back a token. So if somebody gains access to your API token, but they don't gain access to your database, they can't use the API token to search the customer records. The customer records can only be searched if, for example, you have the customer on the phone and they give you additional information that you didn't capture at some other point or something like that. So anyway, we're going to create a customer record, and it needs to have a default payment. Well, actually, they don't start out with a default payment. But notice there's no contact information on this customer record. There's an ID, there's a description, there's some flags. That's it. So they keep their customer object really lean, like what I have. Now here, you can have addresses associated with the customer. That's where you get the email address. And so maybe that's what I should do is addresses. You just, yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, and then so we're gonna create a customer record. We've already got the test for that. And then we're gonna create a payment method. It's gonna be great. And the payment method, I don't think we need to have the address. I think we just need to have the customer. We might need to have an address with just a postal code, but I don't think that we actually need to give them the email address. So that's what we'll do first thing tomorrow. Hopefully, fingers crossed, everything goes well. And then we work on transactions, and then we might circle back around to actually having the sign in. So, but we'll do the guest checkout first. Guest checkout is really kind of the most important thing. It's just credit cards where it's at. But there's all that other stuff. You know, we got to figure out all these edge cases to get the guest checkout to work, because guest checkout's kind of dangerous because we want to add something to the account. If I check out as a guest, so I don't know what this is like. So I imagine, so this is the thing. When I do the GameStop checkout or the Best Buy checkout, I'm pretty sure they just assign the purchase to whatever email address I provide. So no matter what email address I provide, they just assign it to that account. We're doing things a little bit differently because, again, the credit card is like the crowning, like that's where everything else flows from. Is that actually going to work in the way the application's structured? No, it's not really. But again, it's this exploration to figure out how core can we make the payment method. And in the case of, we start talking about Dash, because Dash is also, I'm almost certain Dash will make its way into this. And with Dash, the identity and the payment method are the same. That's one of the things that Dash didn't quite get right, because they didn't realize that they kind of were doing that sort of in a way, and now they have this really abstract and wonkadonk way to try to do that that is horrendous. But conceptually, the idea is there that the identity is the same as the money. The money and the identity are one and the same. And that is correct. That is fundamentally correct. That the individual and the value that is brought about by the individual are one and the same. You cannot separate an individual from the value they bring to the table. All right. Well, with that, I'm out for the night. Have a good one. And one more time. Peace. So apparently it wasn't doing